On this week's FAS TV, it's strawberry season. We get a behind-the-scenes insight into one of Scotland's leading strawberry growers, Mains of Errol Farm, on the banks of the River Tay in the Carse of Gowrie. Now in its fourth generation, we follow brothers Jamie and William Arnott, along with Jamie's wife Alison, who continue to build on the family legacy with 70 acres of tabletop strawberries, on-site packhouse, and around 200 seasonal workers.
So hi there, I'm Jamie Arnott. I'm William's brother and Alison's now husband. I am the lead grower here at W Glen, Mains of Errol Farm, growing strawberries. What we have behind us here is our newest instalment at the farm. It's a 600-ton strawberry growing tunnel site. We also have our new rainwater harvesting facility. That's collecting rainwater that lands just on this new growing area of 23 acres. So start to finish, you've got your structure. You need to take a substrate bag, which is coconut shell, which comes from Sri Lanka. We also bring plant material over, which is baby plants. Early as January, we bring them in from the Netherlands. We then establish those plants in those bags, and from that point on, we're on a growing journey with them, modulating our tunnels, modulating what we feed those crops. And it's much the same as many other growing things in agriculture, except just a little bit more intensive. We then get onto things farther down the line of the plant's development, like pollination and things like that. But the starting ingredients are growing bags and plants. So throughout the season, the plant is going to be in windows of its growing phases, whether that's producing many trusses and flowers. At that point, we're installing bees just prior to that. Flowers are then becoming strawberries. We need to go in by hand and start to pull and coax those trusses out. Trusses are what have many berries on the end of them. So as they get heavier, they're going to naturally want to sort of try and fall everywhere. So we coax them all out. Following that, we start to manage the leaf index of the plant. So we look at the fruit load and we calculate roughly what area of leaf that plant has. And we make sure that that is in balance. So when it gets very hot, that we've not got too little leaves, because we're not taking up that energy. The plant starts to get stressed. If things aren't in balance, the plant starts to get stressed, it starts to let go of its fruit and even abort flowers. Because the everbear varieties that we're growing all across the farm, we're no June bears, all everbears. From when they're planted, they go up into a first cycle of flowers onto strawberries. We'll pick that quite ferociously for 4 weeks, maybe up to 700 grams to a plant of its total 1.5 kilos. Then she'll go on a holiday for quite a while, and at that point it's a lot of husbandry to take off old material. What were nice trusses are now just what we call scarecrows, just hands pointing all over the place. Any material that the plant's trying to look after that we don't need, to keep the plant focused on generating new trusses, to keep us in sort of a high performance window of that plant going on to produce, I'd say, high quality, high yielding strawberries. When the strawberries begin to initiate flowers, at that point a very experienced agronomist would be able to land a prediction of when and how many strawberries you're going to have. So as soon as you start to see flowers or an initiated strawberry, you can guess from that early point. It starts to communicate that to you quite early, which is quite helpful, because we need to understand when that volume is going to land. It's a key part of what you do as a grower, is liaise with management of groups of people. We have to be efficient with how we handle doing certain jobs. So knowing when the plants are going to have dumps of fruit is critical to managing a soft fruit farm well. When we turn up to pick in a day, we basically bring all of our trays and the punnets for the particular spec that we've been issued by our marketing agent, which is, for example, let's say today's a 250 gram punnet for Morrison's or for Sainsbury's. Mostly we pick for Sainsbury's on this farm. They know what that specification is, the minimum size, the berry count to the punnet. They know what shading they're looking for, etc. And once you're in a cadence with a crop, that's up to me to decipher when we're going to go in. So they know they're going in at the right time, and they're just picking what they see is ripe. It's very, very critical as well that they're cleaning the bush of anything that's not ideal. Because what they don't take out today is there tomorrow, and the problem's always worse tomorrow. So we're cleaning the bushes as much as we're harvesting the bushes. Where we go in with a quality control team. So we've got hand washing stations on site, we've got toilets on site, all the relevant things to carry out harvest procedures are on site. And usually we've got one team of 50 people are going in. So for example, there's 4 lines of tunnels behind us. Each line has 110,000 plants in it. 50 people are going to harvest that in, let's say, 4 hours. And depending on where the crop is in its first flush, I was saying that's quite flush orientated, of which there's usually 3. Pickers are sometimes, when there's a lot of berries to hand, picking up to 80 kilos per hour. And some of the fastest pickers in a day this year have been recorded at about 700 kilos for one day. And one tray of fruit with 10 punnets in it's 4 kilo. So it gives you an idea of just how much they're managing to harvest. So at the moment, the Scottish Agricultural Wages Board's minimum is £12.71. That's where you're at an absolute minimum. So you could turn up and pick 3 berries. That's what you're going to get per hour. And we call that like a make-up scheme. So within a software that all the trays are scanned for traceability. So at the end we can see how many trays each individual's picked. That allows us to see how difficult the crop was to pick, and it might be difficult for a myriad of different reasons. We then can adjust the price. So for example, I was saying that a top picker was picking 700 kilos in a day. At that picking rate, we set the price for the average to incentivize people to want to try and pick a bit more, whilst keeping an eye on quality. But that top picker was earning 27 to 28 pounds an hour that day. Our average picking speed an hour for the season so far, over the 550 tonne we've harvested, has been 25 kilos per hour. That's across everybody. And we've got, I'd say, 150 people that have been picking so far this year. So we're on track with a good average, trying to incentivize people to not just show up and kind of just pick what they want. They're wanting to try and earn a little bit more, and that's how it works. People. I think there's usually a misconception about people that are turning up to pick soft fruit that there's not very good pay or whatever. It's all there for the taking if people want to come and do it, and they're here for 6 months. That's what they're here to do, and once they get going and they've been trained at what they're doing, they get on brilliant, and it could be a good earning opportunity in a nice outdoor setting, providing it's not too hot. That's why these tunnels that we've chosen are a little bit bigger. There's a wider row in the middle, and talking about harvest, we're developing like a runner train at the minute, because at the minute you harvest fruit, but you're having to distribute that to a station, get QC'd, come back with your new empty punnets and then fill them again. That's about 20% downtime. So we're paying for just downtime, and it's energy that we're bleeding out, and it's just a bit of a waste. So these tunnels will hopefully be an asset in rectifying that going forward. So we partnered with Protec to build these tunnels because they've got a hoop that's oval instead of round, much stronger, larger, bigger air volume. We're denser to the acre or hectare by quite a large amount. So we have some more traditional tunnels over off to my right on the farm, where if we were to change the 16 acres to this new site, we would get a third extra production out of that area. That's how more dense it is. It also could harvest rainwater for us. Last year it was immensely hot. We had SEPA, who govern water, things like that, messaging us warnings. You're going to have to start reducing the amount of water that you're using potentially. We're quite close to the Tay here, not far away from the estuary, Dundee only being about 12 miles away. We can start to suck up saline water. Strawberries hate sodium and salt in their water. So this tunnel is giving us a whole load of positives to work with. Hopefully we're going to keep the plastic on. So these tunnels, the plastic is roped on instead of buried under. That gives us a better chance at changing the plastic sheets more frequently for less cost. So we can keep, the plastic obviously is filtering out UV or whatnot. We want to keep that quite clear and quite fresh. The way we spray is a bit wider in the middle, but we've still got a higher density to the hectare than the prior tunnels that we have. So we're getting in with better spraying technology and hopefully, like I said earlier, better harvesting technology that we're trying to figure out at the moment. So there's 6 lines in a tunnel, and in between each of the 3 there's a slightly wider row. We've got a small vineyard tractor that goes in there with a PTO driven air assisted sprayer, which goes basically over a strawberry bush of each of them. And so that's spraying in from each side and all around the top. So it's very similar, except our booms are shaped this way rather than flat. We're working with many many products which are 1 day interval so that we can flexibly arrange harvest dates, because obviously the harvest interval, when you start using 3 day or more products, you can't do that. Picking interval at this time of year is max 3 days, sometimes 2 if it's very hot. So the products that we're using are getting kinder and kinder, I'd say, and we're also using a lot of biological insects. We might get a shot later at the minute the wee Fendt tractor's out just now putting biological insects on top of all the crops with basically an air fan boom system, and that they'll settle into that crop and go and start hunting down any pest that, you know, whether that's spider mite or thrip or whatever we're trying to control. Other than people, water is essential. If we don't have, the first principle is we need water. After that we can talk about how good the water is. But if we don't have water, essentially at the moment, if we have a hot day, we're using 135,000 litres of water per hour, over 12 hours of a day. So it's colossal amounts. I think that's adding up to 1,600,000 litres. So this lagoon that we formed here is about 30 million litres. So if we went as hard as we could probably last 28 days out of this body of water if it was completely full. We've got 2 tanks that we're going to see when we go up to the irrigation facility. They're 800,000 litres each. At that point, that's our above ground storage. Our aim is to have that controlled so it's at the acidity that we need to give to the plant. So after that stage, all we have to do is add feed. The water changing in pH is a big issue for a plant. It's wanting its pH at about 5.3 to 5.7. So like I said, good water is critical. The water that's getting harvested from this tunnel site here has very little if to no sodium in it because it's coming from the sky. Any water that we're sourcing, like we are currently, out of the ground, out of a borehole, one, you've got a speed restriction of how fast you can take it out of the ground. You might not be allowed to take it out of the ground. You never really see it, so you don't have a full security of how much water do I have. So before going and investing in a structure like this, it was only right to go, okay, we need to address this problem. We need to invest in a catchment area that we know we have the water to do what we're doing. Then we can go ahead and invest in other areas of our business with that security. So what we're looking at is a rainwater harvesting lagoon that we've built over the winter, which was not ideal, but we needed it. We wanted to expand quick, respond to demand. So we've dug out about 34,000 tonnes of earth. We've then built embankments round about this area to harvest 30 million litres of water. The site is able to harvest about 600,000 litres an hour if we have 25 mil to the hour of rainfall on the surface area of the tunnel site. So these pipes, when it's raining, it's flying in at a horrendous speed. But we're going to be sucking it out pretty quick. So we're in the middle of filling it at the moment for its first time to be full. We'll go on to then making a transition from groundwater to rainwater. Groundwater and rainwater, very different. Lots of EC, conductivity is higher off the ground because the water's filtered down through, it's collected some minerals in that process. This is empty, so we're going to go through a little bit more fertilizer, but the sodium content is less. And at the moment when we irrigate our substrate bags, sodium crystallizes inside the substrate which the plants are in, starts to lock up nutrients, so therefore plants can't take up certain nutrients. So we need to flush to get that sodium out. Usually if it's hot, we're flushing 30% of the water that goes in out straight onto the ground. So with the less sodium water, we then take that up to our irrigation centre, mix up a mix that yes does use a bit more fertiliser, but we won't be putting as much out the bag and onto the ground. So actually there'll be quite a large net saving. So going on to the sustainability part of it, customers are really after investments like that. Supermarket communication to us as farming businesses nowadays is much clearer than it ever has been. They want to know what our costs to produce are and be very open, but they also want to see what they're getting back when they give us the correct amount to do what we do for the year that we've had, because it can be more or less. If we have a good year, we'll get given a bit less. If we get a bad year, we'll get given a little bit more. But they're wanting to track where we're investing and how we're investing. So it's quite a partnership with the customers now, between ourselves as a growing business, marketing agent and Angus Softfruits that we partner with, and the likes of Sainsbury's. We're all creating the future of softfruit here in the UK. So at the moment, we're potentially topping out at 2,000 tonne as a strawberry farm. I think over the next 5 years we could be double that. And at that point we might start to factor in some raspberries, and we'll just go, we're young, we've got that passion for it, so we will see what's wanted, how much of this produce is required, because we know how to do it, we can do it well, and we'll respond to demand. We're excited about it, that's for sure. So I'm William Arnott, so I'm Jamie's brother. Come back to the farm at the start of this year after a 2-year stint in London. Under him and our COO, Kaido, as a executive assistant, you could say, just soaking up everything that I can in terms of different aspects and departments of the farm, from the kind of growing side, from the irrigation side, and a lot of the kind of spraying, etc. This farm, Mains of Errol, is currently sat on an area of Errol Park Estate, which is who we rent from. We are 5th generation farmers, so my grandparents were here long before the strawberries and long before myself. They did arable cattle, kind of a bit more of a traditional side of it, and my father in the late 90s, he kind of was realising that the cattle, there wasn't a huge amount of money in it, etc. And we've got family who are already in soft fruit within the Angus soft fruit group. So he started the berries here in 1999, and we've been expanding year on year ever since. So in the beginning it was just, this is actually one of the tunnels here, so it was the seating systems. So there's 2 sites that are below us here that we started with, and then as we've gone on we've expanded over to the other part of the farm, which is now the hay groves, and then also we've got some new ones from Protec as well, which was only put in this winter, so that should be an extra 600 tonne of fruit to our output. So started very small, and year on year, the goal my father had was always to hit 1,000 tonne, which we hit last year. We got over that, we got 1,200, which is a huge achievement. So we're aiming to get around the 2,000 tonne mark, which would be great. So total acreage polytunnels is about 70 acres just now. With that new site, that was about 25 to 30 acres that we put in, so it was a big expansion that we put in recently. But yeah, so it's been great. So how our season starts, it's almost like a pre-season. So it's not like you just start picking right away. There's planting to be done. There's the bags that we get in from Sri Lanka that needs to be put in place. A lot of the infrastructure and polythene that needs fixing and changing, etc. So that kind of starts in the kind of February time, and that's when we start getting our seasonal staff in first. So the picking doesn't really happen until May, but everything before then, there's a huge kind of build up to that where we need a lot of hands-on staff to help with that. It used to kind of be, in the beginning when we first started fruit, it was a lot of Eastern European staff that used to come through. Now, since kind of leaving the EU, it's changed slightly a little bit, because these people can go and pick in other countries around Europe, if that's in Holland, picking flowers, or if that's in Portugal or Spain and things like that. So most of our staff now are from outside of Europe, which is currently Uzbekistan and a lot of Kazakhstan as well. So we source them through agencies, making sure that they have the right working visas, etc., which is on a 6-month basis. So we do have a bit of a staff rotation throughout the season. So the people who will start in February time, they'll probably finish up in the next month or 2, and then we make sure we fill those gaps until the end of the season, which picking will probably end at kind of end of October, start of November. So everyone who works for us is kept here on farm. So we've got our caravan site, which is up to about 50 caravans now. That didn't used to be as large, but as we've got more staff, more work, we have more caravans to keep them here. We've got some activities that they do in their time off. We've got a football pitch and pool table, ping pong table, things like that. General, if they're wanting to kind of watch a little bit of the football for the World Cup, they've been quite happy doing that. There've been a lot of cheers during the off time hours, which so it's good to see them enjoying that, which has been good. Depending on the weather, it is definitely weather, kind of related and how we go about things, but it's usually quite an early start, about 5 AM, just to make sure if they are picking, we want to make sure that they get the majority of the pick through before that temperature really comes up into the kind of early afternoon, because that fruit can get a little bit softer, and with the handling of the actual fruit itself, there's more chance of bruising and there's more chance of wastage. So we try to get all our picking sites that are due for that day to be done as early as possible. Alongside of that, we're constantly going on crop walks with our agronomist as well, checking what husbandry work needs done as well, etc. So that will constantly come into flow alongside the picking schedule as well. So in this tunnel, this is seating system. So this is a flourish crop. So these are the original tunnels that we've had compared to the ones that we've got now. So these are 4-row, a lot more compact here, as you can see, not as small, not as large of an area compared to our new ones as well. So this is kind of essentially to make sure that all the different sites are picked at different times. We want to make sure that they're not all coming through ripening at the same time, because otherwise we're going to have a lot to do in one space of time and then not a lot to do in different spaces of time. So it's really about making sure that there's a nice kind of routine to follow, so we make sure that we're not kind of getting ourselves in a bit of bother. So upon picking, obviously they've got their trolleys, and that will go down to the QCs on site here, down in the fields. That'll make sure that they kind of get a good weigh, and then they'll be stacked up onto pallets into trailers. We used to do them on these smaller trailers we made ourselves, towed behind like a Kubota, kind of like a Gaither almost. Since obviously our expansions and things like that, we're looking to obviously make that a bit more streamlined. So we've got these big, basically tractor trailers that can hold up to 12 pallets of fruit, stacked 50 to 75 high. Those go straight to the yard where the packhouse is, and that's where the intake, basically there's a changeover there in terms of going into a cold store straight away. We want to make sure that we get these strawberries straight out of the field, they're not sat too long, and they're into the cold store. And then usually it's the day after fruit gets packed. Sometimes it can be packed same day, but usually it's the day after.
My name is Alison Arnott, and I manage the fruit shack and our honesty box. So we have a pick your own site, and we sell cakes, coffee and drinks and punnets of strawberries. We have them for sale in our fruit shack, so I set this up last summer. So my late father-in-law had set up an honesty box about 17 years ago, which has been hugely popular and gets busier every summer, which is constantly filling up. So then we wanted to do a little bit more. There was also demand from local people, so we met people at the honesty box. They wanted something more, and people love doing pick your own as well. And I think it's that idea too, especially for children, to come in and see where the strawberries come from. So yeah, we set it up with the intention of opening it really small and just doing pick your own, and then within a couple of months we put our containers in and made it a little bit bigger. And we've already outgrown that this summer as well, so it's gonna get bigger. We are open at the moment Thursday to Monday, 11 till 4 for pick your own ice creams, coffee. We're hugely popular on a Sunday afternoon, but it would be nice, yeah, to spread that out throughout the week a little bit more. So during the school holidays, we're open 5 days a week. For example, on a Sunday, my role would be in here about 10-ish. We'd get it set up, get the fridge completely full of strawberries, because we can sell anywhere between 100 to 140 punnets in that 5-hour window that we're open. Make sure we've got enough ice cream, enough frozen strawberries. That is currently the bane of my life, is chopping strawberries, freezing them and then popping them into boxes. Making sure we've got enough strawberries. And then I generally I have the world's strongest right arm in comparison to my left, because I'm shoveling gelato out of the tubs into the ice cream machine and helping the team that I've got in here. I've got a fantastic team of people as well, 2 students and a girl that's on the farm. So they all drop in and out and help as well. I've got Olivia that's with me 5 days a week at the moment, 11 till 4, and she's the reason it's going so well. And then I just jump in and out with what's needed. But it's really one of the best bits about being in here is chatting to the customers. It's so nice. That's what surprised us most when we first opened, is how many people are coming again every single weekend. We have people that come every weekend, and it's not just families, it's older people for the nostalgia of when they picked strawberries back in the 60s and 70s. There are lots of families, people that come on dates, loads of dates, and yeah, our regular mother and daughter, mother and son groups as well that come every weekend. It's fantastic. And because the strawberries last a week once you've picked them in the fridge, they come every week and just top up, and it's fantastic to see them. For pick your own, we have customers come in, so we greet them at the fruit shack. We take them around the side. We've got a built-in hand washing basin. We get everyone to wash their hands. Then we give them a 1 kilogram punnet, so it's a paper recyclable punnet. They take that into the pick your own site. We give them a really quick run through of how to pick properly, because we get some enthusiastic pickers that will pull the strawberry and take the whole plant with them. So 2 hands instructions, 2 hands, pull the strawberry down, so you've got a little bit of the stalk left on it as well, into their punnet once they've finished picking. And people always overpick, so they're holding them here and carrying them up here. They'll bring them in, we put them on a weigh machine and weigh it, so we're £7 a kilogram. Another brilliant thing as well is we do groups. We've done school groups and we've done tours for the Cubs and Scouts groups. And the biggest thing that we've noticed is that children don't know where strawberries come from. They didn't know that the flower on the strawberry plant will eventually turn into a strawberry. So it's a really good learning thing, and that's really nice to open it up to the public as well. Especially when we built our new tunnels, instead of being upset about the eyesore, people were really excited about the strawberries and the fact that they get to come here and it's on their doorstep, and they feel like they've played a part in it too, which is really nice. The demand for fruit has definitely changed. Definitely in the last 5 years anyway, we've watched it, that people are more likely to come and use the Honesty Box. When we were chatting to people at the Honesty Box, they always came to us for their fruit or other local strawberry farms because it's so much fresher than in supermarkets, because there's no downtime. What we've got in our Honesty Box this morning was what was picked this morning. The site is unique because I think especially where we are, location-wise, we're in a brilliant location between Perth and Dundee. Up here in Scotland, because of the latitude where we're based, we get so many daylight hours, so our fruit is better than it is in England. It's not as hot, it's much better than what you'll buy in Spain because there's longer daylight hours. It gives the strawberry longer to develop. I was telling people this in the fruit shack yesterday. They're really sweet right now because we've not got lots of sun. It's not scorching hot and the strawberry's not developing really quickly. It's taking time to develop, and therefore the sugar builds up slower. So they taste amazing. And we've got that here in the Carsagowrie. We've got a nice breeze, we're on the river, and we've got the daylight hours as well. Communication is the key to success in the family when the three of us are working together. We're really fortunate that we all get on and we have such a laugh together. Jamie and I've got a stepdaughter as well, so Jamie's little girl, she's 8. She gets heavily involved, you'll see her on our social medias too. So there's Jamie, Will, Naya and I, and it works. Touch wood so far for the last however many years, and Will joined us full-time in January. It's been working really well, but communication is the biggest thing, and we chat everything through. Anything that we put on social media as well, Will watches it, Jamie watches it, I watch it. If we're all happy, then it goes up. Just make sure everyone's happy and everyone's comfortable with it.
My name is Lavetta. I'm the packhouse manager in Mains of Errol Farm. It's my 5th season as a packhouse manager. I've been everywhere. I started from the fields, moved to the packhouse, started from intake as a packer as well, and just step by step to the packhouse manager. So, to start with the punnet, which comes from the fields, which comes to the intake, once we're receiving it, then we're deciding then where it's gonna go. So from the intake, it goes straight to the line, from line to the dispatch, and from the dispatch to the store. So once you've got a punnet, you're checking in overalls, and any bad fruits, it's gonna go for the second class or goes to the bin. The best fruits is gonna go to the customer. The fruit stays in the cold store not longer than, I would say, 12 hours after it's been packed. And after it's been packed to reach the customer, it's not taking longer than 24 hours. We've got 2 new heat sealers. It's GT5E, and we can pack 140 packs on the line 1. Second line, the conveyors still haven't been done properly, but also we should be doing like 140 packs per minute. So I would say the average is like 7 pallets per hour. So it's like, we're doing around 6,000 units per hour. I would say if it's normal day for us per day, we can do around 80,000 units per day. But it's because of the different sizes of the punnets and all of those. It always depends of the production, how much you can do. So.
My name is Kaido. I'm originally come from Estonia. I have been in Scotland, I think 14 odd years. In this place, I have been in here over 5 years before COVID. Then COVID I was away, and now I'm back 3 or 4 years already. We have right now in the camp, we have 200 plus people. The workers are divided, around 40 people are in packhouse, and the rest are in, roughly we can say, in 3 teams, picking squads. And that's what is happening. Every morning everybody has their own field to pick, and like we saw in here on the background, that's what is happening daily basis. kilos per hour is definitely one of the key things, but there has to be definitely taken consideration quality, what stays left, what stays behind, in the bush, on the floor, and what is the quality, what comes out. Is there any damaged berries? Is there, what the rubbish looks like, what comes out in the rubbish tray? It's not like quite straightforward thing in there. Every team has at least 1 day off per week, but picking is happening every day. With the expansion, last year we were still able to have, like, farm wasn't picking in certain days, but not anymore. Now it's every day somebody's picking some fields, and this is new reality for us, obviously.